leads people to do things just like that. I don't think most of them would want to do it, but I mean, we know in this state, there's no way a person can live in this state on a normal salary. They're just, and that's one reason.
So you can either start OnlyFans or get a new governor or a new government. Maybe you should try that. I mean, I mean, you could change your politics, you know?
What's happening, everybody? Scott Jennings was let out of his crate at CNN. Yesterday, Scott Jennings was on the panel of Real Time with Bill Maher as he's promoting his upcoming book. The panel discussed Trump's overall style and strategy, immigration, his tax bill, his Middle East trip, and even pornography. As in the case with any Democrat, Bill Maher had a lot of complaints, but didn't have any suggestions on how he'd do it better. With that, let's watch Scott Jennings run circle around Bill Maher's Bush League panel. Let's go.
But again, like, we'll see what happens. This is a procedural decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good thing that most people believe that, because Donald Trump also believes that. He's repeatedly said that they'll abide by what the Supreme Court decisions are, but that's not going to stop them from pulling all the most creative levers they can think of to repel what I think they rightfully believe has been an invasion. It's not just these gangs, it's illegal immigration in general, and the last administration allowed it to happen. They got elected largely on a mandate to correct it, so they're trying creative things. Maybe they're stretching the boundaries of what a 1798 law was intended for, but most Americans know it was a crisis. Most Americans know the previous administration caused it, and most people voted for Donald Trump largely because they thought he would do what was necessary to fix it. Now, if the court doesn't agree with him, I'm sure they'll go back to the drawing board on it. But I think he's got a lot of political leash to pull as many levers as he can.
This year, there were 7,000. So, like, fentanyl deaths are down in this country. Violent crime is coming down. So, like, it's working. They're arresting and deporting 65,000 people so far. So, like, the invasion is being stopped, but Trump is still saying we need the courts to push back the invasion.
But it's the people who already are here. Take the Abrego Garcia character that we sent back to El Salvador. He has been in the country, or was in the country, for 14 years. He came in 2011, and it's 2025. And there's plenty of evidence that he was a pretty bad dude. And most people are looking at this saying, how did he come in and stay here for this long? Why shouldn't we be trying to pull levers to get people like that out of the country?
So and I don't think, as you said, those polling numbers, even among Republicans, I don't think they want to live in a country where a guy just goes, you know, you're a bad dude. You go to torture chamber.
Well, that's not the country they live in. They live in a country where this guy had been to immigration court repeatedly.
But the Venezuelans they're talking.
He said, on this case, we have the best lawyers, and we're going to abide by what the Supreme Court said. I mean, that was what his full statement was. Look, these people, these gang members, are not coming here to be productive Americans. They are coming here to rape, pillage, murder, steal, and wreak havoc on communities. The president was elected to fix it. I believe him when he says he's going to abide by Supreme Court decisions, but I don't think most people begrudge him creative ideas when it comes to getting them out when they've been allowed to stay here for so long.
They don't corruption. It's the way he does it.
I hear people say it's the way he does it. What I hear is, well, I don't like the way he does it, and I would prefer he not do anything at all. Let's just kick the can down the road. That's what everybody else does. He didn't get elected to kick the can.
Really? There's no middle ground between doing nothing and doing it the right way? Please.
What's the right way?
Well, I don't know. Like, if you were going to take, is the transactional part, is it possible that in the future we will say, oh, well, it was worth it because we got peace in the Middle East? I don't know.
By reading some of these quotes from Biden State Department people who are like, man, I wish we could have done this stuff.
I mean, yeah, they're saying that because they wish their own president had been awake long enough to do anything like this. I mean, this is the problem. People respond to leadership. People respond to leadership. The president is functional and capable of going to another country and saying, I represent the United States. Let's wheel and deal here. And on Qatar, I would just point out all the people who are upset about this plane. We're already dealing with these people. We got the big military base there. We sell them a lot of military equipment. We have already crossed the threshold of deciding we have to deal with Qatar, even though they have clearly done things that we don't like. And so the idea that we're going to be mad about having a relationship with them now.
Well, that is the new. Well, and again, it's a hard one for people on the left to argue with, because they're the ones who say America's so evil. So his doctrine is basically, you do you, and we're not going to lecture you or hector you anymore about your morals.
The lecture thing.
You want to cut off somebody's head, a reporter's head with a bone saw? You know, we all have our peccadillos. That's his doctrine. I don't care about the same things. Biden would not talk to MBS after he cut off the guy's head, and then 6 months later, when we needed Saudi Arabia, he went over there and fist bumped him.
Something about the Republican doctrine that is fascinating to me. I've been in the party for 25 years, working in it. We've always been war and peace. I think Trump has changed it to peace and war. He talks about peace more than he talks about war. He's still hawkish enough to bomb people that need to be bombed, like the Houthi rebels. But I get the feeling he's responding to all these new inflows of constituents to the Republican Party. Maybe they were Democrats before, maybe they weren't even political before, but they would much rather hear an American president talk about peace. And the banner in the Middle East at his rally this week said, peace through strength, which is probably one of the most enduring slogans from the Reagan era. He doesn't agree with him on everything, but on that, I think he's right. But putting peace ahead of war, pretty popular with the American people right now.
At one point, Bill said, "We don't like the way he does it," talking about Trump. I'm sure he thought that was just an innocuous statement, but he said something really consequential. He said exactly what everyone on the left and who hates Trump is thinking. I've said so many times on this channel that these people complain and complain ad nauseum, but never, on any of the stories we've covered, offer solutions. This idea of kick the can down the road is exactly what every single administration has done in the last few decades. Kick the can and let's just slow down and take a methodical approach. Both translate in the federal government to, this is never getting done. That's why Trump has to keep up with his approach. These things don't get done now. These things don't get done now, they will not get done. That's why I have this uneasy sense of urgency to get a shit ton of deportations done, keep hammering away at trade deals, and we have to get the reconciliation bill passed. And as much as possible needs to get done by next November, because even if Trump's polling super well at that time, I still think the Senate race is going to be tough. You know, I hope for all this stuff because not only will it potentially help us hold the Senate, but the economy will be on the upswing, we'll be that much closer to rebalancing trade deals, and we'll have deported a lot of illegals. And then obviously if we keep the Senate, they just keep going on and on with these projects so we can maximize the time that we have left with Donald Trump. He is a once-in-a-lifetime man, and I want him to be able to say when he leaves office, I left it all on the field, gave it everything I had, and by these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metrics, here's the evidence that our country's moved in the right direction. Fingers crossed. In this segment, they're going to talk about porno. Let's go.
Like now, you just pull it up on your phone.
We put all kinds of, we put the devil in your pocket every day. Porn, sports gambling. These young men, I think, are somewhat in crisis. I think I'm like you. I tend to, when you're an adult, I'm sort of not sure I'd be in league with banning things for adults. It's a hard thing to do. However, there is something wrong with our culture on this front. Look what we're teaching young women right now. We're teaching a whole generation of young women that the best and fastest way to get rich is to have sex with people in front of strangers for money. We're teaching...
You're talking about OnlyFans?
I'm talking about OnlyFans. We're teaching young women that if you can have sex with 500 or 1,000 people in a short period of time, you'll be a cultural icon, and that is corrosive for the culture. And so to your point, it's different than it used to be, and what are we teaching these girls? It's not just the boys. What are we teaching them about their own personal humanity and value?
I don't think we're teaching them. I think they're doing it because the economy sucks.
You're saying this is the only job they can get?
I'm saying all these people are on OnlyFans. I know, not all of them, but yes, desperation leads people to do things just like that. I don't think most of them would want to do it, but we know in this state, there's no way a person can live in this state on a normal salary. They're just, and that's one reason.
So you can either start OnlyFans or get a new governor or a new government. Maybe you should try that. You could change your politics, you know.
No. Trust me, I don't feel undertaxed here. I know taxes on tips, stuff like that, but they also want to give the tax breaks to the rich that they did in the past. And apparently, the Democrats and a number of Republicans voted with the Democrats to shoot this down. What do you make of that, Scott?
Well, we have a split in the party. This is Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, and he wants...
Yes.
And this is the second half of his agenda. His executive actions and tariffs and everything he's done so far is what he can do, but he is dependent upon the Republicans in Congress to do the next thing, which is make the tax cuts permanent, cut additional taxes, deregulate energy, and so on and so forth. For the Republicans, in my opinion, failure is not an option, but the party still retains some of the old DNA, the cost-cutting DNA. We spend too much. We do have almost a $40 trillion debt, so they're not wrong. And so this is going to come to a head this summer. My prediction is they will ultimately do something because Trump is the most powerful person in the party and he has that much influence. But the new Trump DNA and the old Republican sort of Tea Party DNA, this is where the friction meets. And you're seeing some of this debate play out in the reconciliation process.
That's on that one.
I just don't think Republican individual members of Congress are going to want to go home and say, I know you sent me there to support the president, but I was the one person who stood between him and passing his full agenda. I think the political pressure on them from back home, they respond to him, not these individual members. And so ultimately, Trump has the ability to move these Republicans to pressure these congressmen. They need to find a way for the party and for Trump. They cannot fail here because his whole economic vision doesn't work without the other. He has to have the tax cuts.
He's also
he has to have the deregulation.
Scott's dead on accurate about something that doesn't get talked about enough when going through the countless ways that pornography is bad for individuals and society. And that's the message that it sends to young women about their humanity and their value. On the flip side, Bill Maher couldn't be more wrong about the economy being reasons that so many young women are in an instant selling their souls and ruining their future for money and short-term prosperity. I mean, these girls on OnlyFans are making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions sometimes. And let's be clear, the majority of girls that are doing it would 100% not be fine with a job as a waitress or something else. And sadly, the nonchalant attitudes that these girls have about sex is, as a society, our fault. There are two reasons for that. First off, there's a market for it from not just men, but women too, a big market. And secondly, we have one, maybe two generations of women now that have been told they don't need no man, and live your best life, meaning do whatever you want to do. And they have women's marches and sex walks that tell them not to be ashamed of being a sex worker or how many partners they've had. Don't ever feel bad about killing your child. I'm not holier than thou. I've watched the stuff in the past, but as I've gotten older, I realize its terrible effects on not just society, but me. On a personal note, I don't know what the future holds for me, but I'd still really like to have the opportunity to have children one day. But I tell you what, when I see stories like this and I'm forced to think about all the evil stuff that's out there, I would not have children if I can't afford to homeschool them. That was a weird way to end the show. What do you guys think about Scott Jennings being on Real Time and the multitude of topics they discussed? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. I've been trying to get more active on X. I'd really appreciate if you guys would go over there and follow me. It's on the screen. Too small. I need to make it bigger. Because let's face it, you guys don't tune into yesterday's news channel for the clips. You want to hear all the interesting things I have to say. Now you can do it on X too. Otherwise, as always, I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means a ton to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. See you guys.